Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Bull Ring this week as we look ahead to everything going on this coming weekend, this final weekend of racing in August, and look back on a pretty interesting weekend this past week in the world of short track racing. I'm Alan Dietz, as always. Glad to be here with you as we look back on this past week here on Ultra Broadcasting. We were at Mobile International Speedway, big 100 lapper for the pro late models there, and Dustin Smith was able to take the checkered flag. And remember, they've got that huge Heart of Dixie 200 coming up Halloween weekend, paying $50,000 to win to the pro late models. So that'll be something to look forward to for sure. Also last weekend, the Cars Tour was at Anderson Motor Speedway in Anderson, South Carolina. Carson Lofton able to get the win there in the late model stock division, and Brody Monahan the winner in the pro late model division. As we look ahead to this coming weekend, we'll be back at Florence Motor Speedway. We'll also be back at Mission Valley Super Oval as their season starts to wind down. Talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show. A couple of short track racing notes real quick connected to the top three NASCAR series. It was announced, I think it was last weekend. Yeah, it was last weekend that NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will be going to Bowman Gray Stadium next August, about a year from right now, and that should be very interesting to watch. And a couple of guys that we've watched in the short track ranks, Chandler Smith and Carson Brown, going to the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series for Richard Childress Racing. Austin Hill moving up to the Cup Series in the number 33, and Josh Berry, another guy we watched in the late model stocks for a long time, still looking for a ride. But boy, has he been running good in that Wood Brothers 21 here over the last month or so. One of the biggest races of the year coming up this weekend at Oxford Plains Speedway up in Oxford, Maine. It's the Oxford 250, a great race. Got to go up there and watch it a couple of times in the last 5 years or so, and just a well-oiled machine up there. As soon as one heat race is over, they go right into the next heat race and keep that flowing. And it's a true 250 lap race with green flag. Well, I don't want to say green flag pit stops, but no controlled caution. So regular drivers, regular crews, don't have any set lap when to come in. Just go in there and try to work the strategy out to see who can come out on top. A couple of Southern drivers going up there. Bubba Pollard, who won it, I think it was back in 2018. And Casey Roderick's going to be making his debut at the Oxford 250. So if you're up there in New England, I know you definitely know about it. Same in Canada, the American-Canadian Tour cars, they race on Saturday night. Prior to the Oxford 250, it's 3 great nights of racing, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and certainly hope you can make it up there to check it out. And one of the drivers everybody will be looking at this weekend in Oxford will be Derek Griffith, former 2-time past national champion. Derek, I know y'all are getting ready for a big weekend here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm here at the shop. I've haven't had a chance to really put enough hours in lately, so we're here plugging away. This car last race at Oxford for the tune-up, and we were good. I think we just missed on something little, but I'm excited to get this thing back up there.
The thing about the 250 is I don't know how anybody can predict anything about that race, and I don't know if it's always been that way, but since it's been a pass race, you've seen some local guys like Glenn Luce and other guys like that kind of turned it on at the right time at Oxford. Austin Terrace kind of last year, but yeah, people always ask me, they're like, who do you think's going to win the 250? And I mean, there's 30 guys that can win it.
Yeah, it's definitely, a lot of people ask always what the difference is between this and the Derby, but essentially, I think the biggest thing is like, more often than not, you kind of have an idea who's probably going to win the Derby. The teams that's big dollar teams, they run good. Whereas, you're get a guy like Scott. I think Scott McDaniels one year almost won it. I mean, he's like
Hmm.
he's a school teacher who runs weekly racing, and then I think he led like almost 200 laps one year and should have won the dang thing. So, yeah, it's a tough race. I think people really underestimate how difficult the place is, and just when you think you're in good shape, I mean, the smallest bit that you're off there just looks so much worse on the track. So, yeah, it's a very, very difficult racetrack to get a hold of.
I know why the snowball derby and a lot of the races now are have controlled pit stops where you're going to have a controlled caution. And if you don't, they're going to bring high dollar pit crews in and all of that sort of stuff. But the 250, it's the same weekend as Daytona, so you're not going to have a whole bunch of guys from Charlotte flying up there to pit the cars. I mean, it's that old school deal where it's not expensive jacks and wrenches and stuff like that. There's some guys that probably hadn't lifted weights in about 20 or 30 years doing some of those pit stops. I mean, it's
My
about as
crew.
blue collar.
My
Yeah,
crew. That's
right.
my crew. Yeah. You're 100% right. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like you're on pit road, you look around you, and it's Joey Dorian's ahead of you, and his dad's jacking, and his friends are doing the same thing. Like my friends from home come up and sometimes do tires for us. That's usually why I get like dropped off the jack, and we lose 20 spots on pit road. But I mean, we joke around every year how we've lost the thing on pit road like 5 times, but that's what this deal is, though. I mean, it's a very homegrown deal. It's even down to the race cars, the racing. I mean, in today's world, it's hard to find a 4-year-old, 3-year-old race car on the racetrack. And I mean, there's some of the race cars that are out there that are 10, 15 years old, and they're still competitive. So it's cool. It's not something. I think Oxford's a very special place for the racing that it provides. I mean, four wide racing, tires, no tires, live pit stops. It's a hell of a race to watch. I've only had a chance to watch one when I was really young from the outside, and yeah, I mean, it's the best racing I think in the Northeast for sure, but by far, maybe in the country for late models.
Yeah.
It's just all practice. I mean, Sunday practice is its own spectacle to see. There's 50 cars on track, three wide, four wide, crashing into each other. I mean, it's the craziest thing just on Sunday. So
Well, I've said it many times, and I'll say it again that when Tom Mayberry started Pass South in 2006, first race was at Hickory, and I don't know, 6 or 8 guys from the north came, Mike Rowe and Scott McKern and Cassius Clark. There's a few other ones. And the southern guys, you had Chuck Barnes and Clay Rogers and Freddie Query. I mean, some really good guys. And I was like, man, these southern boys are going to wipe the floor with these Yankees. And that was the last time I ever said that, was that one race right there.
yeah, 100%. There's some really hard-nosed guys up in the Northeast. There's been forever, and I just think it's just a different way up here as it is out west. I think the Wisconsin guys are like somewhat close to us. I think a lot of the Midwest guys are on a similar kind of deal. But like Mike Rose, probably what he's in his 70s, and he's still a guy like.
High 70s.
Yeah, so he gets out of the car. If he feels like he's wrong, he's gonna punch you in the mouth. Like, or you're gonna know, there's no question. You're not going into next week playing politically correct with Mike Rowe. That's just how he is, and people either love him or hate him for it. I think it's awesome that a guy like that can still. I mean, like I said, there's no question. So, and that's how it is with a lot of the guys up here. I mean, there's definitely some younger crew that probably are gonna learn a little bit the hard way over and over, but that's part of racing up here for sure. But yeah, you're 100% right. The guys up here probably are a little bit slept on, and it was cool for a short time to go down and run what we did. And I'm, far from the best up here. So I wish a lot of people got the chance to travel like we do.
Well, I agree. I mean that place is it's one thing to watch it on TV, but to be there in person, it's just crazy. And again, you always get the comparisons between the Derby and the 250. The camping, I think, at Oxford blows the camping at the Derby away.
Easy.
Um, the car counts are about the same, but Oxford's always been a little bit better. But you can't get as many guys from across the country to Oxford because you run in the race at the end of August. So there's that difference in it, and then obviously the racetracks are. I mean, I don't think you could take one thing from Oxford and do it at Pensacola and vice versa. Um, so, this is something I've always wondered. We've seen 150 lap races many, many times at Oxford go caution free. And like I said, you could run 3, 4 wide. The track's 3/8 of a mile. I mean, it's crazy. Can you make it 250 laps on one tank of fuel, or is there the possibility that you would have to make green flag pit stops?
There, that's tough. There's a possibility. So there's one of the years I ran really good. I think we finished second or third. I ran to lap 230 with one tank of fuel. I think like I don't think I changed tires until lap. It was a weird deal. I ran like the whole race almost on four tires. It was kind of a weird deal. We ran up front, and me and Joey took four way late, like really really late in the race.
Which
Um,
means you should have blown everybody away, and then some guy would 70 lap tires. Say, yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's such a unique place. But I think it's possible. That's what it is. Like the strategy there is crazy. I mean, some people want to go out and hammer down as fast as they can to try to lap as many people because we got that weird lap deal. Um, so, lap cars stay in position where they were on the racetrack. So if there's a lap car, two lap cars right behind the leader, someone gets a lucky dog, the other one starts outside pole. So that is a huge kind of strategy thing that a lot of people play in these bigger races. So you're racing against, even if you're like your mindset is that guy's going to pit, I don't need to race him. You need to race to stay ahead of him because he's going to
Yeah.
come around and lap you eventually. So yeah, there's just so many moving pieces. And it's funny that like a bunch of Maine and New England hillbillies are the one that put this deal together. It's so awesome.
Well, and that's what's ruined these other races is you got these control cautions, so you're running, you know, you're running 650 lap races, because you kind of know how it's going to fall, and everybody pits at the same time, and all that sort of stuff. Um, I don't know how much you've kept up with it, but um, New England being on an island is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it is in the sense that your rules don't match up when you go other places, and it's harder for guys. I mean, Tom Majeski's told me several times that he wants to go run the 250, but they literally. But this is what he says. I don't know that you'd have to do this, but he says you'd have to build a car just for the 250 for what they run. But I don't know if you kept up with anything going on in the rest of the country. But I'll tell you what, there's some really screwed up stuff going on right now with bodies and engines.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's racing. There's always going to be someone trying to get one over on everyone else, which, I mean, I get that side of things. It's never been how we like to do things, but, yeah, so I can see how that is. It's just once the technology leaks down from above us, or once people start having the ability to get to places that all the rest of us can, it just gets a little frustrating. And I'm sure those guys are really good at that stuff and body stuff like you said, like you can start digging around those bodies. And I mean they've been doing that stuff for 30, 40, 50 years, but it just seems like now it's very, very difficult to keep up. Like everyone could do the same thing for a little while, but once people start like stretching roofs weird and raising their quarters in a way where they pass template, but they're 2 inches higher on the racetrack, that stuff. And we're not totally out of the bubble that as well, but back to like Ty's deal is so I would say like 4 or 5 years ago, it's a pretty difficult thing to get into. And like we could say the same thing about the Midwest. They have a weird motor program for Slinger where like a
Yeah.
2 barrel motor from one guy there is the only way to go. So like it's kind of like that everywhere. But I'll give it to Tom. I mean, he's opened up the rule book enough where you know bump bump sticks are allowed. We don't have a ride height rule anymore. All those things that would normally keep those guys away is no longer a thing. And yet we haven't seen the increase in cars. So it's hard to say like if it really kept anyone away. I think some people search for an excuse. I mean, like, look
Yeah.
what we did. We spend astronomical amounts of money on these cars, and it's like you're telling me you can't find a way to get around like you're not going to buy a $12,000 604 crate motor when you got
Right.
6 built motors sitting in your trailer. Like, that's not the
Yeah.
reason why. It's just
And
it's
you
going to
buy
be
50 sets of tires to practice at the Derby.
the Derby. Yeah, you could
Kind
buy
of bull.
you could buy 3 motors for what you spent on tires for practicing for the Derby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just gets silly. But no, and I wish they would come too. I mean, I was really bummed out when Nasty came and didn't run as good as I had hoped for them to run because I wanted to be that an event for those guys every year, and I wanted him to get people to come up here. But I think people saw how he ran and was like, "Oh, we're not going to go and waste our time up there." Unfortunately, that's how I think it's seen. But they got every opportunity to come up here. They race quite a bit up here. Good money races, Celebration of America. They had that, and it's not for money. I mean, we had that $25,000 segment race with an
Yeah.
overall points fund. That's $100,000 in one day on the line, and you're like, what's the excuse then? That's better paying than any late model race I think in the country. I
I'll
could
tell
be
you what
wrong,
I
but
think the
that's
excuse is I think some people don't want to get up there and get their butt kicked. And I'll give it I knew Nasty was not going to go up. Nasty ran the way Bubba should have ran the first year that Bubba came up there. And for whatever reason, Bubba hit it right, but really hadn't hit it the same way since then. And Casey Roderick's going to, get a taste of it this year. And but the thing about it is as tough as it is, Bubba said if he had any chance to get to Oxford, he planned on coming every year. And I think he has come every year since that first year in 2018. But I will say, and, probably nobody will see this, so it won't matter. But I will say, I've been working for years to try and get Tom Mayberry and Ricky Brooks together. And people said it never could be done. And I've made a lot of headway with that. And I just want people to know that there's not only one game in town if you want to race all over the country and not have to spend money like you do to have a truck in NASCAR to do it. That's not how you're going to make a national series work. It ain't going to work that way. And trying to do things the way pavement racing will never be like the World of Outlaws or Lucas Oil because you can't do it that way. You don't have the fans, you don't have the number of cars, you can't run 40 lap races. But you also don't need to be running 500 lap races either. So anyway, that's a story for another day. But I'm doing whatever I can do because I think the two of them are the best. That's the thing, Tom. He intimidates people, and you may tell him something. He may say that is the stupidest damn thing I've ever heard. But Tom will think about it. He will. He'll think about it, and he'll come back to you, and he'll say, that weren't quite as stupid as I thought. So what were you thinking? I mean, he is open-minded.
100%. Yeah, Tom, I say it all the time. I think Tom doesn't get enough credit for, his weekly series at Oxford do really well. Racing's not exactly the smartest or most profitable thing to get into, and he seems to do really well overall, has killer car. Look at some of the biggest races in the country were had by him for years. Going to Richmond in a late model, New Hampshire
Wilkesboro.
Speedway, Wilkesboro, the Easter Bunny, like there's just so many big names and big shows that have been had by him, and you're right. I think he is an intimidating guy when he is an intimidating guy. But you respect him when it comes time. Like if you do something wrong, you're like, well, I hope that Tom is going to be good to me about it and not bad. I hope, and you got to make sure, there's been a lot of times where I made some silly decisions over the years, and the first person that talked to me about it was Tom, and it really makes you think about what you need to do to not do that again. And it works. Even it's me and Gabe Brown joke about it all the time. Me and him got into it at Oxford like, I don't know, 9 years ago, and the first person waiting for us off the racetrack was Tom, and he chewed our butts out for 5 minutes straight, and me and Gabe both looked at each other and we're like, he's 100% right, and he's been one of my best friends ever since. So it's funny. He does a really good job, and Ricky, we can't say enough good things about Ricky. For years going down to Speed Weeks, running, I go to every UARA I can. He's a racer. He gets it. He's not some show pony putting on a big production. He's a real deal racer. He's very opinionated. He likes to tell everyone what he thinks, and he does that stuff. But again, exactly where he stands. He's not some wishy-washy mess of a deal. I couldn't agree more. The two of them working together is going to be incredible.
Well, I've known Tom now for 20 years, and I love the guy. I mean, I literally love the guy. And Ricky, I've got to know here over the last 2 or 3 years. And the funny thing is, and what surprised me is I didn't realize, I thought that there's no way that these two guys are alike, but they are a lot alike.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. We're good friends with them both now after years of running both series or with both the guys. And you're right. I mean, I can see how both of them will click, and I think they both want it to do good too. That's the biggest thing. It's not like they're worried about their egos or how they look all the time. Like they want the series to do good. I mean, I'm seeing it. I'm driving this big block super modified. I mean, Tom is pulling resources from so many places to keep this big block super modified racing alive up here in New England, and he's doing it because he doesn't want it to die. Like no one else is stepping in, and Tom's here doing what he can to make sure it's going to survive up here. So it's cool to see that. I mean, Ben Bozowski does the same thing with the racetracks up here. There's a couple of really good people up this way, and then obviously down in Florida that really want to see racing thrive, survive, and do well. So it's good that it is in that deal.
Well, it's funny, and I'll let you go, but I mean, literally before I got on here with you, I was talking to Ricky, and the last thing I told him was I was like, when it comes to pavement, pro and super late model racing with straight rails, I'm not talking about late model stocks or anything like that. I told him, I said, you and Tom are the only two that can say it. And people watching may not understand what I'm talking about, but if you get into some of the minutia and some of the things that's going on in the sport right now, it's those two or nobody else, in my opinion. So I don't know. We'll see. I might be wrong, but I know it won't be any worse off because of the two of them. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I'm excited to hear what they got planned or what they're working with or what will happen. So it should be exciting.
Well, good luck down there this week, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Alan.
If you love grassroots racing, Ultra Broadcasting is for you. From the UARA and the biggest short track races in the country to the best of the Carolinas from Florence and Anderson to Southern National and Carteret County. Plus, Alabama's Mobile International Speedway and the Big Five Super Late models at Montana's Mission Valley Super Oval and exclusive original programming. To catch it all, subscribe to ultrabroadcasting.com today.
You're not just any do-it-yourselfer. You use inspiration to bring projects to life. And just when a project seems too large, you head to your local Sunbelt Rentals. There, you'll find the latest in tools and equipment to make your next job your easiest project ever. Plus, they even deliver to your job site. Sunbelt Rentals, taking DIY projects to an all-new level.
I'm John.
And I'm Ben.
And we're the Kubota Tractor Guys. Kubota means quality and nationwide rates highest in customer satisfaction.
Discover Kubota's durability you can count on with a 6-year powertrain warranty.
Big Sky Kubota stocks a large selection of tractors and implements.
Stop in and see our wide selection of mowers, excavators, and RTVs.
Big Sky Kubota's service techs can help you get the most of your Kubota.
Big Sky Kubota. Remember, think orange.
Premier American Patriotic Fraternal Charitable Organization.
I bet you didn't know. The Elks are fueling the future of youth racing. Join us at the Elks, supporting young drivers and giving new life to our mission. On the track and in your community, we're building future leaders. We are shining a spotlight on the values that make the Elks great. By showcasing our commitment to future leaders, we're making it easier than ever to see how great it is to be an Elk.
Visit discoverelks.org today.
Well, joining us now here on No Bull, she made some news, a lot of news actually last week about Greenville-Pickens Speedway. That's Tasha Porter Kummer. And Tasha, first off, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you for having me.
Well, tell me, before we get into the purchase and all of that sort of stuff, I know you've posted a bunch of social videos that people can go and watch on your Facebook and different places and stuff like that. But how did you get kind of at the forefront of this effort to save Greenville-Pickens?
Well, when it shut down in the end of 22 and it didn't look like it was going to get leased again and it was just going to sit, I just started a Facebook page and it just kind of went from there. I just started growing it and getting as many people to follow it as possible. At first I put on there looking for someone to lease the track. So, we tried to do that for a little while and then it just progressed and then went to the county and bought the developers and got us to this point.
Well, here's the point we're at. For those of you that don't know, Tasha's the first female winner at Greenville-Pickens. It was in the limited class, wasn't it?
Yeah, limited late model.
And her brother, Randy Porter, her dad, I mean, the entire family, they've got a long history at Greenville-Pickens. Was it matter? The one thing I've seen in all this stuff about Greenville-Pickens was I never saw a price. And it seemed like we finally got that last week. So, was that kind of part of it, just getting them to say, hey, we need to know how much this thing is going to cost before we'll do this?
Well, it really, technically really wasn't for sale to the public until all of this recently. There was a sign at the road with a realtor, but people would try to call that realtor and never got through. And there was a couple buyers here and there that came, around and tried to get the information on the track, but they never could get in touch with anybody. And then the next thing everybody knew, it was in developers' hands, and then it got word that they just wanted to bulldoze it down. So that's when things really cranked up and we really got a big movement going to start showing up at county meetings and really, trying to do that. And having done that, it's brought us to an agreement with the owner now. And so now,
now, was that Kevin Whitaker or is that somebody that, okay.
Yeah, Kevin owns it. I've known him my whole life. I told him from the get-go it was, never personal, it's business. And he understood that. So we have a good relationship. He's always been good to me and my family. I hate that we had to really, swing there on each other for a little while, but, it's brought us to this point. And so now, everybody's on good grounds and now we're just trying to raise the money to get the track bought.
So roughly if my memory serves, you're looking at a little over $3 million to purchase the racetrack. I think, I mean, you tell me. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work. It's amazing how much racetracks, when they sit idle, it doesn't take nature long at all to overtake them. So I would think it would at the very least take at least $500,000, maybe $1 million. Where are you in um, this raising money effort? I guess it would be an investment group that would own the racetrack, that would have managing partners and that sort of thing. And so have you made any progress? And I know it's a short window, so uh, I don't know how much detail you can go into that, but how short a window are we looking at?
Yeah, it's a real short window. I can't say too much about it, but it's a short window. It's a short window. No, it's I've established a nonprofit with a 501(c), and I also am incorporated. So it is me buying the racetrack with my business. The nonprofit was established to help business like racetracks that are struggling and for, like forever. Like it wasn't just made to help Greenville-Pickens. So that nonprofit is going to be used to get donations and hold charity events at the racetrack and things like that, and to help with funding. But it's also going to grow and also hopefully be able to help out other racetracks that are struggling with whatever they need, whether that be something on the property or just, with advertising things or like whatever. But that's, what that was meant to do. But the restoration of it, we have a pro bono list of businesses that are ready to step in and get this track back running. Big companies. We have construction companies, asphalt, concrete, HVAC, electric, anything that will need to be done at that racetrack. I have several names under each category that have already committed to do pro bono work for that track. So that just shows everybody how much this community wants this racetrack.
Do you feel like, and again, I don't know how much you can get into this, but the state of North Carolina helped their tracks out a lot after COVID. And I know there has been an effort by some track owners in the state to try to get something similar. Could the state help you with a grant having the 501(c)(3)?
Yes, I look to them to help with a grant because this is going to be, huge for tourism. It's not just going to be a racetrack. So a lot of people think that it's just going to be open just for a racetrack, but that's not what my goal is. My goal is to have it as a big community center as well. So, I want to have several STEM programs out there for kids to learn about, engineering and automotive and maybe some robotics. Like I would love that for the kids. So, partnering with Clemson University, things like that. Also, concerts, festivals, farmers markets. I would love to bring a big theater out there and have like a theater outside night, stuff like that. I really want this to be something for the whole community. Even if you don't like racing, I want this to be open year round and something that everybody can enjoy. So I am going to be asking the state for a grant for the tourism side because the economic study is strong, on this property. So I think that we would definitely get those.
Do you feel, because I know the crowds and car counts hurt a lot there towards the end. Anderson's doing great with crowds. Their car counts are decent. Do you I'm assuming if you're going to all this trouble, you've got confidence that you can get the crowds in the cars.
Yes. Yes. The reason that it didn't have many cars in its last years was because of the person and owner, the person who was running it and the owner. A lot of people didn't like them. And I know that it's kind of childish and, you shouldn't really let things like that, interfere with a racetrack, but it happens every day in every business, and, I really don't, it's not childish. It's just, if somebody hurts you or does something that you is offensive, you're not going to go back, so, whoever is running a business in general can make or break something. And, I hate that because I didn't get that feeling, I went every week, but a lot of people did. So that's the reason that people stopped coming. It was never because of the racetrack, and it was never really because of the economy, because they just went to another racetrack. So that never really was the case. The case came down to who was running it.
Tasha, I know you got to go, so I'm going to let you go. But real quick, before we do that, where can people find out more, and where can people get involved?
So we have a website that is www.therealhistoricdps.com that has a lot of information. You can go there, or if you want to join the Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, there we have all social media, and you can find them at the Real Historic Greenville-Pickens Speedway.
Tax season giving you headaches? Meet SRQ Taxes, your tax pros in Sarasota ready to make taxes simple. Whether you're filing personal returns or business taxes, SRQ Taxes handles it with accuracy, speed, and care. Trusted by locals in Sarasota, these experts help save time and money. No stress, no guesswork. We can file taxes from anywhere and every state via a secure portal. Ready to take control of your taxes? Visit srqtaxes.com to book your appointment today. SRQ Taxes. Navigate your tax journey with confidence.
The best time of the year in Montana is here, and adventure won't wait. Now's the time to gear up and get out there. Whether it's the lake, the mountains, or off-the-grid back roads, Missoula Chevrolet has the lineup to take you there. Shop over 100 Chevy trucks, all with one low price, plain and simple, always. Their non-commissioned sales team is ready to help you find the perfect fit. No pressure, just the right truck for your next expedition. Stop by today at 3663 North Reserve Street in Missoula. Missoula Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Well, we want to thank all of our guests for joining us this week here on Noble. As we said, we've got a big weekend here on Ultra Broadcasting, east to west. We'll be at Florence Motor Speedway in Florence, South Carolina. They've got a full slate of action, limited late models being the featured division. That'll start at 7 o'clock Eastern time here on Ultra Broadcasting. And then usually around 9 o'clock Eastern is when our coverage from Mission Valley Super Oval begins. Again, it's in the mountain time zone there in Montana. So that's the reason for that. couple of big events coming up, tracks that we cover. You absolutely got to be aware of. Labor Day weekend, the Cars Tour, they'll be at Florence Motor Speedway. That'll be on Friday night, and want to check that out. I already know a couple of NASCAR Cup Series drivers are going to be in it, and some other surprises that we'll be able to talk about next week. But you want to check that out. Again, that'll be Friday night, September the 4th on Flow, and then on Saturday, September the 5th, right here on Ultra Broadcasting, the Carolina Clash Super Late Models, that's dirt Super Late Models, will be at Lakeview Motor Speedway for the Edwards Family Memorial. That's paying $12,000 to win. Hopefully we'll be able to get some names confirmed for you next week, but there's no big World Outlaws or Lucas Oil races going on. So there's a good chance there's going to be some pretty big names there at Lakeview on September the 5th, and we'll talk about that next week as well. Of course, in South Carolina, down there in the PD region where Florence and Lakeview are, Southern 500 weekend, Cookout Southern 500 weekend. So a lot of folks going to be in town, and they'll have some great short track racing to check out on Friday and Saturday night at Florence and at Lakeview. But we'll look forward to all of that next week. Hope you can join us then. For all of us here at Ultra Broadcasting, I'm Alan Dietz saying so long again. We'll see you next week.